Hello, relatives. Happy Friday. Welcome to another week of emotional sobriety. I am just going to get our smudge ready before we get started here. So feel free to grab whatever it is that you need to feel comfortable, whether that be a blanket. I get my blanket every Friday, make sure I'm nice and warm. It's pretty cold here in the office. So grab what you need. Grab a blanket, grab a cup of water, grab a cup of tea, some coffee. Make yourself comfortable as we begin to bring ourselves and our spirits into this space. So I'll just get our smudge ready here, get us going this week as we prepare for the weekend. Here's some smudge for you all, relatives. Sending you all lots of love, protection, healing energy. Gotta put my eyes back on. All right. Oh, it's Friday, John. We made it. We made it, relatives. It's Friday. I know I am feeling pretty tired today, but as always, I am happy to be here. My name is Xavier Smart, community healer and cares counselor here at HIR Wellness Institute, where we offer free mental health and wellness services to our native Indigenous population in the state of Wisconsin, right? And primarily serving victims of crime, those that have been impacted by sexual assault, domestic violence, human trafficking, intimate partner violence, and MMIP, missing and murdered Indigenous people. So, we really do our best, right, in trying to support our communities in any way that we can by providing free mental health and wellness services. And one of those things that we provide is, 7 days a week, we have our Facebook Lives, and this emotional sobriety group being one of them. And we are, John and myself are super excited to be here every Friday, coming together with you all. For those of you that this is your first time, welcome. Welcome. We are so happy that you could join us. For those of you that continuously show up each and every week, we appreciate you and we thank you for being here as always. And we always like to start with a check-in, and typically, I always want to bring this into the space, right? Typically there's three of us, but one of our colleagues, Jamie Killicutt, she is right now getting trained in brain spotting, which is another healing tool that we are hoping that we can soon, maybe as an organization, bring to the community. So she is out here getting trained, doing what she needs to do, getting that healing as well. So Jamie, we appreciate you. We are sending you lots of love this weekend as you go through brain spotting. And we appreciate Jamie so much, and all that she brings to our organization and to this group as well. She's so wise and has a lot of wisdom and knowledge. So we just want to bring her energy and her spirit into this space. And I know she's missed the past couple of weeks, but John and I got it. We're holding it down until she's able to come back, and we're happy to do so, relative. So with that, I'll pass it over to John for a check-in. John, how you doing today?
Yep, thank you so much, Xavier. I'm actually doing really good today. Thank you for asking. And thank you, relatives, for everyone who joins us every week. And, just feel free to kind of comment in the section along the way, while we're doing emotional sobriety. And then, just share your knowledge with us, share your coping skills, what's worked, what hasn't worked, or anything that, you may be experiencing or feeling today, feel free to kind of share that in the comment section. I do moderate on every single Friday, emotional sobriety. So if you do see someone typing in a comment, that is me. So again, feel free to kind of comment, let us know how you're doing. And, thank you for always being here. We're super happy to be here every Friday and just provide this space just to kind of communicate and just kind of talk. It's a great way to end our weekend. Yeah, our weekday. So thank
Yes.
you.
Absolutely. Thank you, John, for sharing and bringing your voice and spirit into this space. Yeah, like John said, we enjoy coming into this space every week, every end of the week, every Friday. It's Friday. See, you can tell it's Friday. I can't find words, can't function. But it's all good. This emotional sobriety group is really about coming together and building a community that can reflect together, learn together, heal together, and learn ways to just navigate the stressors of COVID-19 and all that it's taken that emotional, mental, spiritual toll, physical toll on a lot of us. And we wanted to provide this support group, this live support group, as a way to come together, as a way to say like, hey, there are people out here. We have workers and healers that are willing to hold space for those of us that are in recovery, those of us that are just struggling to navigate COVID-19 and this pandemic. There's people here that want to hold that space for you, right? And like John said, we enjoy holding the space every Friday. Being able to work through our workbook, which we'll go through today, share our parts of ourselves as healers, and really just again normalizing and talking about the realness of the real, the feels that we often stuff aside, run away from, right? We're laying it all on the table and we're saying like, yeah, no, this is what I'm feeling, this is what's going on, and we're talking about it. So, and again, this group is something that we're we're hoping, right, that in the future that there are enough of you out there, relatives, that are like, you know what, I would like to be a part of this emotional sobriety support group in a more intimate level, right? So, we come on here every Friday to model what a private Zoom group would look like. Um, you know, and again, we would do a lot of the things that we're doing right now, the smudging and bringing ourselves into the circle, going through workbook and just really connecting. But it'll be private, right? So we'll have that time for us to really be intimate and dig a little deeper, right? And again, this is just a time for us to just share space, to breathe together, to model what that group could possibly look like if there are enough of you that are like, yeah, let's do this thing privately. So before we get into things and start diving into our topic for today, part of the way we bring ourselves into the circle and ground us is through reading our elders meditation. And again, that's just a way for us to really bring the voices of our elders into this space. Our elders have all the wisdom and the stories that help to support us, that help to guide us. And we find it very comforting to bring their voices into this space. So with that, I'll turn it over to John. And I would like, if John, if you could just bring your voice back into the circle and read the elders meditation for us today.
Yep. Thank you, Xavier. I would love to. And relatives, I will also post into the Facebook Live comment section the elders meditation for today as well. So for anyone who wants to kind of follow along and read along, you do have that ability to. So just kind of give me a second just to kind of post into our comment section, and then I will read. All right, so for the elders meditation for today, it states, but one should pray in one's heart during a sacred ceremony. This is the purpose of the ceremony, to purify the participants both inside and outside. And that's from Thomas Yellowtail Crow. How do you know if you are praying from your heart or from your head? Pray from your head and you will feel nothing. Pray from your heart and you will feel feelings. You may feel sorrow. You may feel joy. You may want to cry, depending on what you are praying for. During the ceremony, the cleansing will take place. The medicine wheel teaches the four directions of inner power: emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual. The prayer controls the emotional, mental, and physical. When we ask for purification of our feelings, our mental mind, and our physical body, the spirit direction causes the cleansing to happen. Great Spirit, create in me a clean heart.
Thank you so much, John, for reading that, bringing that into the space. And relatives, these our elder meditations are taken from meditations with Native American elders, the Four Seasons, and we absolutely love utilizing these meditations. They always seem to be spot on. Always, spirit has a way of really giving you a message that you really need, for the day. And I just love this message of today, of being able to, the importance of prayer, right? And prayer looks different for a lot of us. For some of us, it is, um, may involve kneeling. For some of us, it may just be involved, just having a conversation with the creator, right? And there's no right or wrong way, right? So I just want to point that out, and to say, relatives, just follow and follow what feels right for you. Um, and let that guide you, and listen to that. I know for me, prayer is something that I try to incorporate throughout my day. So as soon as I wake up, just express gratitude for the day, and thanks for another wonderful day, and set the intention for the day. So it looks different for a lot of us. So just keep that in mind. And I think just the importance of I think what stood out to me is just the difference from praying from your heart versus your head. Because my truth, I think sometimes I find, when I am in prayer or in those moments, that there is that like battle. Like, I don't know, like my mind kind of wanders, and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta come back. So it's a fun little dance, right? But I think knowing that difference, that hey, you're praying from the heart when you feel it, when you can feel those feelings, right? The feelings that we tend to run away from, the ones we tend to hide. But I just love that, and being able to, even in ceremony, the importance of prayer, right? Like this whole process of us coming together, smudging, um, connecting, reading this meditation, and going through a workbook, and closing out in a certain way. This is, a sacred circle, right? We come on here, and we really we want you all, relatives, to feel that, to feel the sacredness of this community, and of this circle. And each time that we're here, I know constantly there's prayer that's going through me, right? As I as we navigate this, and just sending lots of love to each and every one of you, relatives, that are out there, and that are a part of this circle. Because again, prayer, we can all benefit from a little prayer, right? In whatever way that looks. So grateful for that meditation. Yeah. John, what stood out to you from that?
Yeah, I definitely love this prayer, and especially when it talks about praying from your heart instead of like from your head,
Yeah.
about just really being in tune and thinking, digging deeper. Because sometimes we're afraid to kind of dig deeper and pray from there and kind of figure out like what exactly am I feeling? Because sometimes we're afraid to feel or dig deeper and find out like what is really down there. What is it that I'm hiding from? Because sometimes we try to avoid digging deep because there's something in there that's bothering you or will arise. And just understanding that, it's okay to have those feelings. And that's what praying from your heart means, looking down deep and really praying about those tough parts that maybe you're still struggling with. And just really understanding that, this is difficult and really sitting with it and understanding that it is difficult
Mm,
and that things will get better. So I really like that when it talks about, praying from your heart instead of your head.
mm.
Instead of just being on the surface, let's dig a little bit deeper and kind of pray for that. And again, I love what you said, Xavier, about how prayer looks different for everyone. And it's so important that, prayer doesn't have to look one particular way. How you choose to do your prayer uh, is completely different. Whether you're religious, you're not religious, you're spiritual or not spiritual, it looks completely different. And it's okay. You're entitled to how you want to do it. There's no right or wrong answer. And here at HIR Wellness, we celebrate that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, John, for your words. Yeah, definitely. And relatives, it looks different from a lot of us, right? We all pray differently. We all have our own walks of life. But I think the beauty is that we can all come together and uh, learn to be one. And I think that it's just beautiful that we all have different perspectives, different ways of doing things, different cultures, and it's beautiful to think about in the grand scheme of things. And that just warms my heart to think about. So if you see someone else praying a different way than you, inviting yourself to be curious or talk to them about it, right? I think is something that can be cool as well, as that just brings us closer together, right? Is my belief is that everyone has that collective purpose of helping each other heal, helping each other just navigate their time here on earth, right? Under we have this understanding that we're all just spiritual beings having a human experience. And listen, it is hard out here. It is hard, so why not just make it a little bit easier for each other and support each other, as we all navigate this um the adventure of life. So yeah, definitely love that. um so before we get into our book, I also just want to again ground us, prepare us for our conversation. So I'm going to invite you all, relatives, to find a comfortable position for yourself. If you're sitting, get into a comfortable position. If you feel like, hey, I want to lay down real quick, go for it. We're just going to walk through a little deep breathing exercise just to ground us, bring us into this space as we transition into the book. So I want you all to just, again, if you're comfortable, keep your eyes open, close, totally up to you, whatever you feel comfortable doing. And I just want you to feel your feet on the ground, feel your body on wherever surface you're on. If you're on a bed, feel your body on the bed. If you're on a couch, in a chair, just feel your legs, the back of your thighs, right? Just on that couch, your back. And just pay attention to your breathing. No need to control it right now. Just pay attention to it. Just breathe normal. Just notice it. Then next, I just want you to take your left hand, put that right over your heart. Take your right hand, just put it on your stomach. I want you to inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 6. So we're going to breathe in Breathe in for 4. For 6. Continue breathing. As you do that, just feel your heartbeat. Feel your stomach rise as you inhale. Feel your stomach get smaller as you exhale. You're gonna do this 2 more times. Inhale. And then whenever you're ready, relatives, begin to make your way back into the space. Wiggle your toes, your wrists, get some stretches in. Feel yourself in the present moment. All right. And that relative was, just a way for us to bring our energy, center us, right? Bring us into this space as we transition into going through our wonderful workbook. So the workbook that we go through each week is maintaining emotional sobriety during COVID-19, transforming trauma into post-traumatic growth. And this is done, this book is from Tion Dayton. And, relatives, each week, again, we go through and we just talk about a variety of different topics, a variety of different emotions, feelings, thoughts, right, that we may have all experienced during COVID-19, this pandemic, because, let's face it, it's really brought about a lot of shifts, a lot of changes, uncertainty, fear, right? So, it's a book that we've really been able to just really reflect through, move through. We've gone through talking about how to create safety during this time, how to put this time in a box, if you will, right? To know that this is just temporary, right? That things will transition and shift into a normal, but know that it'll be a new normal, right? So this book has really been able to help us again navigate some of those feelings we've been feeling and prepare us, right, to work through them in the way that we need to, as well as helping us to, I guess, prepare for a new normal. And I think that's just beautiful. So the past few weeks, we've just been going over hidden grief, right, and what that looks like. And just a little bit of reflection. Hidden grief is just those things. When we notice that over time we're stuck in kind of this state of whether that emotion be anger, whether it be sadness, we're kind of stuck there, right? And we're not able to get out of it. We're like, I don't know, but it's still there, right? You know, it could be that, again, that there's something uh, underneath that's hidden, right? That we haven't had the opportunity to dive into, that we haven't had the opportunity to reflect on and address in a way that we needed it. So yeah, we've talked about that, and we've talked about when that hidden grief does surface after being activated by, an event such as COVID-19, what happens, right? It takes two routes: unconscious route, where we're, not aware of it, and we're continuing to we tend to navigate towards those behaviors that are, you know um not uplifting for our spirits, right? So, drinking or numbing, self-medicating, things like that. Or, when that grief comes about, it goes down a conscious route, which is when we're aware of it, and um we're aware of it, and we're able to, take that time to say, like, how can we grow from this? What is it that this grief is, where is this connected to? And we take that time to do a little bit of that deeper dive into it. So this week we'll be taking time out to just talk about what are the different type of grief reactions, right? And what do those look like? And then navigating just some ways that we can work through some of the grief. So we can just get right into it, and I'll turn it over to John. I would love if you can just go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, thank you so much, Xavier. So there are quite a few different types of grief, and we'll kind of read over them and just kind of talk about like what each one means. So the first type of grief that we have is normal grief, which tends to run its own course and lessens over time. Although the time as well as the intensity may vary from person to person, and also according to the timing, nature, and intensity of the loss itself. The following is a overview of the forms that more hidden unconscious grief can take. So the first one is anticipatory grief. So this grief, we feel grief in anticipation of what could happen. So this is particularly relevant to this COVID-19 crisis because of our fear of becoming sick, the uncertainty about when life will return to normal, and what normal might look like. We feel the loss of what was, of our normal routines, and we worry about what is to come. And the next one is age correspondence reaction. For parents, when your child hits the age of a time in your life when you are traumatized, your unconscious pain from that time in your life may get triggered. If you do not make the connection between your past and your present, if you do not know it's old relational or situational pain getting triggered by a new relationship, you will tend to make your pain from the past about your present. You, the parent, may go from one extreme or the other. You may experience extra worry, anxiety for your child. You may want to overprotect your child because the child in you felt underprotected or unsafe. You may want to distance from your child because the child in you wants to go numb, doesn't want to touch or feel that old wound. And this next one is parental inner child grief. I am naming and adding this category because I see so much of it in my practice. This happens to mothers and fathers who don't want to repeat the past but don't fully understand how to identify and validate the grief of the child who lives inside of them. They feel they are giving what they never got, and when they give, they feel a kind of pain because the need in their child acts as a reminder or a trigger for the pain of their own unmet childhood yearning and need. Parents need to attend to the wounds of their inner child so that they can gain some relief and healing, so that they can stop feeling like they are giving from an empty well. And this one is complicated grief. The complicated grief is the kind of grief that doesn't seem to resolve itself over time and becomes prolonged or chronic. And this can occur due to the nature of the loss being sudden, violent, or hidden, such as prison or addiction, where we are ambivalent about the loss and don't really mourn it to begin with. And some warning signs of this kind of complex mourning, it includes self-medication, sexual acting out, self-harming behaviors, chronic and disabling feelings of guilt, worthlessness, suicidal thoughts, violence, or radical lifestyle change. The age correspondence reaction may be seen as a form of complicated grief. So we just went over several different types of grief. And Xavier, I was just wondering, was there any specific type of grief that we went over that you could relate to?
Yeah. Thank you, John, for reading that. These were some good stuff, right? Wow, being able to reflect on, you know, anticipatory grief and um yeah, I don't know. I think let's see, out of all of these, I think one that may be standing out for me, um I think is the parental inner child grief. Although I'm not a parent, um, right now, I know that, that inner child grief just in general is something that for me has been recent, has been at the forefront, right? I've been just for myself, just experiencing a lot of anxiety in ways that, I'm like, I don't know where this is coming from, what's going on, right? I'm anxious about, I'm not in school anymore, and, just so much, right? And for me, I had no idea where it was kind of coming from. And um, again, all the worry about, my family, how they're doing, and this constant worry. And I'm like, everyone's fine. Like, what is going on? Like, why am I stressing so much about them? But being able to, again, tap into my support system and have a conversation around, what's going on. It was what was uncovered was that there was some things there, right? In terms of my inner child was needing to heal from some things, right? Was needing to be addressed, was needing that parental support and care. Um, you know, so yeah, so for me right now, that inner child grief is something that again I've been navigating as of recently, right? And um again, I think it's something too that we don't really think of. We just we as we go through our lives and we grow and we evolve, we experience things. And again, like this chapter has been able to teach us, either we get the opportunity to heal and work through some of those things, or due to life circumstances, we just keep moving on and keep doing what we got to do. And it just kind of gets stuffed down. And when you sit and you think about just your life, and you think about your experience as a child, and and now, for some of you, as an adult, right? And you think back, you think about just certain things, and you think about, how you respond to certain situations, certain people, um and how that triggers something in you, and your reactions. And oftentimes it's linked to that inner child, right? I think often, or not often, but I don't think we think about the fact that our inner child, that child version of ourselves, never leaves us, that it goes nowhere. That there is always, there's always that younger version of ourselves that um that carries along. And sometimes, right, due to whatever it is, right, whatever your life journey and experiences may have been, um you may not have gotten the parenting that you need, the support, the love that your inner child need, right? So now it's up to your adult version of yourself, right, to kind of nurture and care for that child that is still within you, then that is still there. And for myself, I often like to say that, we're all just really big kids just trying to navigate life, because listen, nobody has it together. None of us know what we're doing. Um, so I feel like we're all just kids just trying to figure this thing out, making mistakes along the way. So yeah, I think about it in that way. And as we continue to yeah, just work through and navigate our life and our healing, that um giving that inner child, whatever age you feel that may have needed something, right, being able to connect with them and talk with them and sit with them and say like, hey, I got you, and give them that love that was needed. So yeah, this is such a good good topic, good conversation. I love that we're talking about different types of grief reactions, because I think prior to this I didn't even think about that. Like I just, think about like grief is just, it's grief. Like, so I like that there's different types of griefs, and that there's different types of griefs to explore. So yeah, that's what stood out to me, John. What about you?
Yeah, I completely can relate to that one as well.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think all of these I've experienced before. So again, it's like what you said, you don't really think about it.
Mm.
And then now that we kind of talked about it, it's kind of like, wow, I have experienced this one and this one and this one and all of them.
Yeah.
So, and I know for me, the anticipatory grief, I think many people, especially during COVID, just the shutdown just so immediately, and just if you feel like life is being halt, is on halt and being on hold. So definitely was very difficult for me. Because I know for me, work related wise, I love going out into the community, visiting people. And then with this, it's kind of like, nope, you have to take a step back and you're now stuck in one place and you're stuck at home. And then also, just the loss that we've had in 2020, and even in 2021, and just the thoughts of, is this ever going to, get better? So I know for me, I went through a lot of that type of grief. And then also for me, the complicated grief. And it's like the loss. I love what it talks about, how, the loss of or being hidden of something that you hid from yourself. Um, so I know for me, it's kind of like as a child, um, and, just kind of having that loss of not knowing who I am. Um, and then, something that I don't share often for life, but me, I do identify as LGBTQ. So, being someone who does identify as a gay man, that is that hidden part of you that you hide. So definitely I experience a lot of these signs, such as like self-harming behaviors, because you don't know how to express that. Uh, and then also feelings of guilt, worthlessness, suicidal thoughts, and just acting out and violence and stuff like that. So I definitely can relate to all of this. And just reading it today and just really thinking about like, wow, I do fall into this and this one and all of them. So I just love, and it's something that I just want to let everybody know who's on this live, or all of our relatives, just knowing that it's okay to be who you are, and that you are loved and you are worthy of love, and that things do get better. Because I know that sometimes you lose hope. You feel like there's no hope, or sometimes life is very hard. So just knowing that it does get better and reaching out for help. Um, and I do want to let you know that we do have a CARES form line. So for anyone who needs that additional emotional support, or just someone to kind of talk to and listen to, non-judgmental, and just kind of processing how you're feeling. Feel free to kind of reach out to our cares forum line, and I'll also put it down into the comment section as well. So thank you so much, Xavier. And would you like to read the next few brief?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, John, for sharing and bringing your voice into the space, sharing your thoughts. Yeah, absolutely. Um, so yeah, there's more. So in terms of the other groups, we have inhibited grief. So this is when a person does not let their grief show, whether it's because they want to keep it private or because they have hidden it even from themselves. Their grief becomes inhibited. When someone cannot allow themselves to grieve, their body will do their. They may have physical symptoms like muscle stiffness, back pain, migraines, or illnesses that are directly connected to deep emotional stress, or they may act out or self medicate. Cumulative grief occurs when losses accumulate because they occur on top of each other. This may happen if the COVID-19 crisis continues to disrupt people's lives. And then we have collective grief. This is a form of grief felt by a group. It may be racial, class related, the death of a public figure, or the result of a natural disaster. Certainly, our world right now is experiencing a form of collective grief. It is important that we come together and hold each other through this time. And then it has a story: the Italians singing out of their window, the Greeks doing the Zobra dance on their rooftops, and the 12-step community and other support programs moving online are all wonderful vehicles for sharing concerns so that the grief doesn't get acted out in destructive ways. When we find the support we need to transform our grief into personal growth, we become more resilient. Oh man, love it, love it. From reading that, um, absolutely, we're definitely this pandemic is a collective grief, right? We're all experiencing this together. Experiencing the shift and experiencing the uncertainty. So that's something that we're all experiencing. um, and I like how it just was able to really break down those other parts of, it might be something racial, class related, right? Death of a public figure. Like there's so many different things, that can contribute to a collective grief, right? That we all can, as a world, grieve at the same time, right? And grieving through something. Um, and I think uh, what's standing out to me as well is, going back to inhibited grief and this aspect of not letting our grief show. And I think about, um, you know, in terms of identifying as a male, as a black male, and how that has impacted me, right, and my ability to grieve and to share and express emotions, and how I have allowed myself and to stuff them down, right? Whenever I'm feeling angry, whenever I'm feeling a sense of sadness, I'm gonna stuff it down because, the narratives that I was told as a boy, boys don't cry, boys are tough, boys are this, right? And then adding being black onto that, my story, my journey, right? And what that looks like of, wanting to express yourself in a way that doesn't come off as that angry black man, right? Or, just that angry, just, black person, and um, not being wanting to be intimidating in certain spaces, and just these different things, right? And how that's really just impacted, I would say, just my ability to really just be free and to say, no, like, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on, right? And most certainly it has allowed for it to come through in bodily sensations, right? So the anxiety I feel in my chest and in my stomach, and the tension and the headaches, right? And these different aspects, that come about, right? And again, that even reflects back to some of the inner child grief, and that hidden grief. When it's hidden, it comes out, and our bodies will let us know. It's gonna find a way to come out, right? It's gonna find a way, and if we're able to recognize it and put a name to it, be aware of it, we can allow it to come out in a way that is beneficial and supportive for our system, for our spirit, rather than allowing it to come out through physical ailments, and illnesses is like muscle stiffness, back pain, headaches, things like that. So I just wanted to put that out there. And also, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of what stood out to me from that. John, what about yourself?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like with the collective grief of, especially with COVID, there's so many people who are going through that, and I think everyone, many people, can definitely understand that, and then especially with just like the tension between racial, just a lot of problems right now. Our Black and Brown brothers and sisters, and LGBTQ, and then also our Asian community, also with the hate and just so much more, just a lot of collective grief right now going on in this world. And then you have COVID-19 on top of that too. So it's just, it goes hand in hand with the cumulative grief as well, just one after another on top of each other. And then, the inhibited grief, just kind of going back to, hiding a part of yourself or feeling like you can't express yourself all the way because of, whether society or just your upbringing. You were told, like what Xavier said, being male, you have to be this, you have to be that, you can't show emotions. So what do? It shows up in different forms, such as, it could be violence. Or it could come out in like different various forms as like emotional stress or very deep depressions and anxiety. So again, inhibited grief, if it doesn't show in one way, it shows in another. um, and sometimes we don't understand that. Sometimes you're like, I have this really bad migraine and I don't know why. It's what's going on. And sometimes it's just because of all of our stress that we're going through, and it's releasing out in that. So definitely, I love talking about all of this and reflecting back on it, and seeing myself like, wow, I've experienced all of this. Um, so definitely, I can relate to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, John. Are there any relatives commenting? Do you have any comments?
No comment so far. We did have Gwen Carl. She did mention. Let me scroll. Oh, when you were doing your deep breathing, she said that it was so relaxing. So
So, yes, absolutely. Thank you. Um, yeah. Again, there's so many different types of griefs, and um, I think being able to sit, reflect, and ask ourselves, where is this behaviors that I'm exhibiting? What are they linked to? Or is there some in grief that I haven't been able to address? Am I anticipating, you know, um, something to go wrong, right? Because of the fact that, just this anticipation, right? That can be something that, even once this pandemic is kind of subsided, and we're at a state of normalcy, there might be some of that anticipatory grief that surfaces of like, oh man, I don't know, it might happen again, right? Or what's next, right? Um, so being able to reflect on that, reflecting on age correspondence grief, and your reaction, right? How are you reacting to your children at this time? And is that linked to a part of you that didn't get the opportunity um, to resolve something, right, as a kid? And this is just really, really powerful stuff, when we sit and think about it. And I think it's just wonderful Again, to be able just to explore the different types of griefs and what that can look like. But just as important as it is to be aware, right? Because there is importance in being able to be aware of what it is that we're feeling. That's ultimately step one, right? We're aware that yeah, I am feeling something, and that's beautiful. It's beautiful to get to that state of I'm aware that I am feeling something, um, and then giving ourselves then the permission to feel it, is the next step, right? Because oftentimes we, again, may not give ourselves that permission to feel through it because it's uncomfortable, because it's a new feeling, because it's scary and understandable, so understandable. But again, when we get to a point where it's like, all right, I'm going to give myself permission to feel through this, that's so beautiful, right? Because you're allowing yourself to walk into um, your truth, your story. You're allowing yourself to grow and flourish in the way that your spirit is asking you to. It's our spirit knocks, right, and lets us know what we need and what we need to what we're needing to heal from at that time in our lives, right? Because again, healing's a journey, and you may at one point work through something and then notice that it comes back up a few years later or a few weeks later, and that's just the journey of healing, right? And it's beautiful, and as always we like to say, be gentle with yourselves, relatives, and know that it's not to be rushed, that there's no finish line, um, and that it takes time, and to enjoy the ups and the downs of it, right? Because there will be ups, there will be downs, but know that you have the strength, the resiliency to pull through, to continue to fight. If you've made it this far and you are watching this video, whether it be live or whether it be on your own time, you have made it, and that is amazing. That is amazing. It truly is. As hard as life may hit, right? The fact that you are here, the fact that you are in this community space, that you took the time out to click play and took the time out to continue to listen, it's beautiful. And your spirit is jumping for joy and thanking you, right? And I think that's just so beautiful. When we think about our healing journey. But again, part of that healing journey is learning ways to deal with and to better handle the stressors, to better handle the emotions, so that we can build emotional tolerance, right? To talk about what's going on, because I think oftentimes it can be where we get to a point where it's like, yeah, I'm feeling something, and others may push us to kind of talk before we're ready, and it's like, no, I'm not ready to talk about that, but I just know I'm feeling it, right? And you may notice when you talk about it, there's so much discomfort, the heat, you get hot, you get clammy skin, and just all these different symptoms, right? Bodily symptoms and sensations that you're feeling, and that could be, simply because your body's like, aha, I'm not quite ready to talk about it, right? So it's important to learn skills, learn ways that we can work through it, that we can breathe through what we're feeling, because we got to breathe through it, we got to work through it in a way that keeps us connected to self, connected uh, to our spirit, right? And um, again, there's importance in learning skills that can keep us grounded, so that we can get to a point where we'll notice it becomes a little bit easier to talk about that experience. It'll be a little bit easier to say, like, okay, I'm ready to go and dive a little bit deeper, right? And then you'll know when to pull back, right? So it's about building that emotional tolerance, and we do that through, again, learning different ways to deal and cope with that initial awareness, and that feeling. When we're feeling it, we got to know what to do with it, how to deal with it. So um in terms of just the hidden grief and how to work and navigate through it, some ways that I have used is meditation, right? And having a meditation when it came to, just that inner child grief and being able to comfort, talk with that inner child, and let them know, like, hey, I got you. I got you. I know it's scary. I know, you were feeling hurt, you were feeling pain, but hey, I'm here for you. And that's something that you have to do constantly, right? To parent that inner child, right? Because essentially now we're the parents of that inner child, and I think that's so beautiful when you think about it. So that's something that I've done. I also continue to do breathing, right? Breathing exercises, connecting with my breathing, letting that be a way for me to slow down, connecting with my support system, helping which helps me to reorient myself back to present moment and say, like, all right, Xavier, like I hear you, but you're way out there. Let's come back. So I appreciate my support system so much, um, and that's been so helpful. And something that I just want to go through with the book mentions, right, in terms of exercise that we can do for navigating this hidden grief and addressing it, right? We have there's two things. There's something called the loss chart. Um, the direction state losses can feel like they are piling up at moments like these. You may be experiencing more than one loss currently or feeling previous losses. Even losses from early childhood may be getting triggered by feeling trapped and helpless. So what you want to do is you grab pen, pencil, paper, whatever it is that you have, and you want to create a circle. And in that circle, what you want to do, relatives, is write the feeling of loss that was created by COVID-19. So, what feeling was that came up for you, right? What is it that you're feeling that you lost? And then from that point, you want to make just lines, right? You want to make different lines that come off of it. Um, and write about you just write any other losses in your life that are getting triggered by the current feelings of loss. So again, let's say, for example, um, COVID has created this sense of um, loss from your job or loss from a relationship, something like that, right? What are some other losses or that are being triggered by this current loss and the feelings, right? So it could be feeling isolated, feeling stuck, right? And then even taking it a step further and going jotting down what's that connected to, right? So that's just one way to kind of navigate and look at the big picture, right? So it gives us that opportunity to say, this is the loss that I'm feeling right now, but hey, it might be connected to this, it might be connected to this, it might be connected to this. And that just kind of invites us to take a step back, slow us down a little bit and say, like, oh, okay, there's some stuff going on here, right? And allows us to tap into who we need to tap into the support that we need. And then before I go into the other exercise, I just want to check in with John. John, what are some ways that you've dealt with grief? What are um, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and relatives grief for everyone is dealt differently, and just the techniques that we use can be completely different. And what works for me may be completely something that Xavier is like, I've tried it, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And just understanding that this journey is so personalized that you can't really compare your journey to the next person. Sometimes I know that we want to because we're just like, well, they're speeding through their journey, and I'm over here taking little steps at a time, and I want to get to where they are. But your journey is completely different, and just understanding that it's not a race, it's a lifelong journey. Like me and Xavier, our journey we may be on it for several years, but it's a lifelong, and it's always changing up because new things happen in our life. So you're always like updating and living in real time about your journey, and you're updating it in real time. So just understanding that, just take your time, just be gentle. That's something that we always remind. Be kind to yourself because we often forget to. We oftentimes, if we make a mistake, we judge ourselves or we put ourselves down and feel like, we want to give up or it's not working. So, I don't know what else to do. And just understanding that these coping skills, it takes several tries before you maybe start to notice just a little bit that helps. And then
Yeah.
you're just like, okay, well, it's taking forever. I don't want to do it no more. But you have to stay consistent with it, and just being open-minded. That's a huge thing. Is that if you really come in with the intention that this coping skill isn't going to work, or you already judged it as like, oh, it's weird, I don't want to do it, and then you're just doing it just to do it, it's not going to work. So just kind of coming in with an open mind and really just allowing yourself to feel it and just experience it all. Because, that's what happened with me is that when I used to feel like really down and I used to kind of self-cut and I was in my early journey, I used to always judge different coping skills. I'm just like, well, this is weird, or I don't want to be seen doing this because maybe, people will judge or say something and I don't want to hear that. But really understanding that, what, it helps me out. It's not about what people think or will say, because if it helps you out, that's what matters most. Because understanding that, we're all so differently and our minds think differently, we operate differently, and that it's okay to be different. That's the beauty of it, is that we get to share our differences with one another, and someone else who is in this Facebook Live and watching can benefit from that. So that's how we encourage, like, sharing what works for you, because me and Xavier, we read the comments also, and we can benefit from that too. Just because we have a few that works for us already, we're always working on learning more, because you can never, there's no such thing as too many healthy coping skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, John, for sharing that, and reiterating that. Yeah, definitely. There's no such thing as too many coping strategies, right? Definitely about taking what sits right and feels right for you and your spirit, and going with it, right? The more tools you have in your toolbox, the better equipped you are, right, to handle situations and emotions and things like that. And I think that's just beautiful. And the last kind of activity that this book mentions is writing a letter. Um, a journaling exercise, right? So letter writing is a wonderful journaling technique that lets you talk to a person or a part of yourself. Letter writing allows you to gain some distance and sense of space from the part of you that is struggling. It helps you to gain clarity and perspective, to remove the loss from being welded into your inner world and put it where you can see and communicate with it. These letters are not to be sent, they are for your eyes only. You can write you can write any of the following letters or come up with your own letters. So again, let's see. So it has a few different kind of letters, right, that you can write about it. Different topics that you can write about, and again, these letters are to help unpack, right, some grief, to help kind of put that separation and allow you to take a look at the bigger picture, right? So, let's see, you can write a letter to a part of yourself, the anxious part of yourself, the angry part, the resilient part, the part that's depressed. Um, Once you have written a letter to that part, reverse roles mentally and write a letter as that part back to yourself. You might be surprised by what comes out. Oh, I love that. Ooh. That's
I never
awesome. So
thought about
taking
that.
right, no, me either. That's super dope. That's super cool. So again, it gives you that having that conversation with like, okay, let me write this letter right in the present moment to my anxious self. Um, let me write them a letter and talk to them, and then responding as that part that you wrote that letter to. So if it is your anxious part, responding to it as your anxious part, right? I think that's just beautiful. Another letter that you can write a letter to someone to whom you have something you like to say. So if there's like, there were things that you wanted to get off your chest but have never said to anyone, write that letter to them. And again, these are for you, for your eyes only, right? You can do with it what you please afterwards, right? But understanding and being mindful of consequences that may come after conversations, right? Because again, we're all on our different healing journeys. So if you are to write a letter to someone and you're like, I feel like I want to give this to them, right? Being able to keep in mind, right, that hey, they may be on a different path, and that the letter that you give may not be received in a way that you think it may be received. So just being mindful and respectful of that as well. I know another thing you can do is burn the letter and have like a lighting ceremony, letting go of that pain, that hurt, whatever it is that you're writing about. um let's see, you can write a letter to the virus, or to the confinement, or to COVID-19. So taking the time out to say, hey, this is my letter to COVID-19 because it has caused so many problems. This is what's going on, right? And write that letter, and let that be what it needs to be. You can, let's see, write a letter to anyone you're concerned about, anyone that you're frustrated with or angry with. You can write a letter to your wounded inner child, right? So that child version of yourself that was the most scared, or that was the most angry, the most alone. Write them a letter, and again, reverse the roles, and respond in a way, talk through it, have that conversation. And then the last one says, write a letter to the world, right? So should just write a letter to the world, the grand scheme of things, and being able to again just give yourself that permission to feel through it, let those emotions flow, um, free write, if you will. So whatever kind of comes in your mind as you write that letter, just write it down, just let it flow, all those feelings, those emotions, the happiness, the joy, right? Let all of that flow through as well. So that's just the last exercise, in terms of how we can navigate, um, just dealing with stressors, navigate dealing with the hidden grief that we may be feeling, inside of us. So wonderful, wonderful topic. I know we spent, I think this was the third week on it, because there was so much to unpack within that chapter. And I just again love and appreciate this book, and being able to be in the space with each and every one of you relatives, and with John as well. Oh, John, are there any comments or anything from our relatives out there?
I haven't seen any comments. Yeah.
Okay. All right, relatives. So now we like to, as we begin to transition into the real world, back out there, right? We want to reground ourselves. We just talked about, quite a bit. So we want to take the opportunity just to bring ourselves back, to get ready for the weekend, get ready for the rest of the day. So I'm just going to walk us through another breathing activity, similar to the first one, as a way to ground us as we prepare to go back out into, as we prepare to leave our sacred circle. So, again, get into a comfortable position. If you're comfortable, keep your eyes open or closed, whatever works best for you, whatever feels right. Sit up tall if you're sitting. If you're laying, lay how you need to lay for comfort. If you're driving, keep your eyes open, please. and just take some time. Notice your breathing. Notice how you're breathing. Is it shallow? Is it short? You're breathing fast. Breathing slow. Next, I want you to just envision whatever word that you feel that you need right now. What is it that you feel that you need for yourself right now? I want you to just picture that word in your mind's eye. Is it love? Is it protection? Is it joy? Just picture that word. Next, I want you to put your hands over your chest, over your heart space. And I want you to breathe in that love, breathe in that word, that you're needing. Whatever word that is for you, relatives, just breathe that word in. And when you breathe out all the worry, the anxiety, stress. Breathe out what you're wanting to release. And if you want, you can also breathe out that same word, as you can breathe it out for those that are out there as well. Continue to breathe that word in. And breathe out. And whenever you're ready, relatives, begin to just slowly bring yourself back into this space one final time. Get out any final stretches, any yawns, anything that you're needing. Again, relatives, deep breathing is just a wonderful way to just reground us, right, as we prepare for the day, prepare for uh, the next thing that we have to do. So I just wanted to bring that into the space and know that whatever word that is that you envisioned for yourself, that you deserve it. And that all the worry that you have breathed out, if that was something that you did, that that it will be transformed into healing energy for the collective, right? That all the worry, the pain that is heavy on our hearts, as we breathe those out into the world, that you know our prayers are heard from the unseen world, and it's being transformed into healing energy, healing vibrations for all of us as we navigate. So with that, we transition back out into the real world as we go forward with Friday into the weekend. We can check out. So our checkout, let's see, what is one thing, I know this is Jamie's favorite, what's one thing that you're going to do for yourself to show yourself some love? So John, what's that one thing that you're gonna do for yourself?
For me, I would have to say sleep. Just this week, I felt like I haven't slept well. So just really taking that time and just allowing myself to, catch up on a little extra sleep. And, it's so needed. And, relatives, what you need is completely different and it's okay,
Yeah.
and treating yourself and allowing yourself to feel what you're feeling. Like, for example, I need sleep. So just kind of honoring that and just be like, it's okay. You know, you deserve some sleep and just allowing yourself to, feel what you feel and treating yourself kindly. So for me, it would definitely have to be sleep for this weekend. And I just want to say thank you, relatives, for always joining us. And, we love being here every Friday and just kind of bringing our voice and just having a dialogue of just our honest truth and diving deep into grief is a really tough topic. So if you are processing or thinking about it or going over it this weekend, just take it very slow, very gentle. And just kind of be kind to yourself if you start feeling some inner feelings that you never really experienced before, just going at your pace where you feel comfortable and being kind to yourself because you don't want to process too much and then it causes a lot of extra distress now.
Absolutely. Thank you, John, for sharing. Such a great point, right? Take it easy, relatives. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to your spirit. Listen to it. Um, Let it guide you. Let it be that pace that you need to support you. I think the one thing that I'm gonna do that I'm gonna do for myself is laundry. I've been putting it off for a while. So I'm gonna hunker down and get it done this weekend. And it's nothing like clean, nothing like clean clothes. So that's what I'm gonna do for myself this weekend. And with that, relatives, we thank you all again for being here, being in this space with us. Sending you all lots of love and healing energy, and hope you all have a great and wonderful weekend. And we will see you all next week. We only have 2 more weeks left of emotional sobriety. April 30th will be our last live, and then we'll take a break. We'll be back, but it'll be our break. So we have 2 more weeks left. So we'll see you all next week, relatives, and we hope you all just enjoy the weekend, enjoy and find time for rest and to give yourself some love. See ya.